Welcome back to my garden, friends. It's Vicki. I'm at the terrace house today. Just want to show you how magnificent this hollyhock is. What a happy surprise that this popped up this year, and so big. I guess I didn't know how big hollyhocks were. Now, granted, this is about probably 3.5 to 4 feet off the ground. This is a pretty big retaining wall here. But in addition to that, I am guessing that thing is probably at least 6 feet tall. I'm sure it's taller than me. It might even be close to 7 feet tall. And then over here on this side, we have our 4 o'clocks. I haven't seen any blooms yet, but that should be happening soon. All of my grapes on my grape railing are, you know, plumping up, looking charming. Just the little effect that I was going for. I think I've done better this year, like really being aggressive and cutting back anything extra that climbs, you know, off of the rail. Like, I don't need every single branch. I can cut them back. It's okay. So I'm learning that. On this side, I haven't done as much. I do have grapevine on this side as well, but it's not as established, and I just didn't cut it back as much yet. So I'll get around to that, but it's not as out of control as this one over here tends to get. So moving on to the terrace though, I forget what this is called. I think it's vinca, but I'm not sure if it's like major, minor, whatever. I don't really know that much about vinca. I've got some little hens and chicks kind of under it and around it, growing around the cement there. I used to have a huge hens and chicks bed in the backyard, and I'm really sad. It's one of the things that got destroyed when the tree fell, and then the people came and drove over my yard with their tractor because they're not concerned about anything besides removing the tree. So that's done. Those were destroyed. Anyway, this is my other 4 o'clocks bed here. I also have planted some nasturtiums in with it. Now you will see that they are looking a little yellow and even some brown crispy curling there. We're supposed to get some more rain tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a good, you know, continuous rain all day, because for those of you that have been watching, you know, I don't have running water at this house since the tree fell on my house. So everything has to just rely on Mother Nature, and we have been in a drought for the past, I don't know, I'm going to say the past year, because it basically started, for me, I noticed it right after the tree fell, that when we had to move out of this house and I no longer had running water, I became very stressed about the lack of rain. And that went on for the last part of summer last year, all of fall, all of winter. We barely had any snow whatsoever. Then this spring, we've had really just one good rain that was like 4 inches. But just since January, we're still 6 inches behind on what we should be for the year. So we're still, you know, in a significant drought, and I'm just kind of relying on Mother Nature to help me out. But the good thing is that I've really focused on a lot of drought-tolerant plants in this terrace, because I know that terraces, the water tends to run down and off quickly. And so a lot of things that are planted in terraces, unless it's like a swale type situation, which this is not, the slopes down, but unless you have like a swale to capture that water and let it soak in slowly, then in your typical terrace situation like mine, it just runs off quickly. And so you need really to have more drought tolerant plants. And so that's what I've been focusing on, and like full sun plants, drought tolerant plants, that's what tends to do well in this terrace. So I forget where I was going with that, but yeah, anyway, I'm just having to let Mother Nature water my plants for me. It's been pretty stressful because I keep wanting to add stuff and I really shouldn't, especially now that we're getting into the hottest part. Like today we're going to get into the mid 90s, and no rain or anything. And then tomorrow, like I said, we are expecting some rain tomorrow. So it's also going to cool down a little bit before it heats back up again. So anyway, the most recent thing that I've added to this garden are these daisies. And I told this in previous videos, but I bought 6 daisies that were $4 a piece. They were on clearance. And then I split them in half. So I ended up with 12 daisies, and they were basically $2 a piece. And I'm very happy that all of them made it, even though I haven't had supplemental watering, and even though I cut them and, you know, divided them, so that's extra hard on their root system and everything. But they did make it, and I feel confident that they'll all survive. So I've got 6 in this part of the garden, and then I have another 6 over here. So I've got 1 back there, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the only thing that I am worried about dying right now is this rainbow ascot euphorbia. I shouldn't have moved it, but I was transplanting some cactus. I don't really consider this like a new planting. I was just taking some cactus and moving it over here. And those are so drought tolerant that, you know, it can handle that. But when I was doing that, I wanted to utilize this space right here. And I had one of these little ascot euphorbias right there. And so then I moved it over here. And I have not supplemental watered this guy. So he's started to die back. But like I said, we are getting rain tomorrow. And if it's a long, significant rain, I feel like this will pull through. If not, I bought some more euphorbias that were on clearance. They were marked as annual, but it looks exactly the same as this, and it had the same, like, I'll look at the tag again, but I'm pretty sure it's the same, but for some reason they were marked as annual and they were half off. So I got 6 of those. So if you know, those, say they were to survive next year, and not be annuals, which I think is what the case is, then I'm going to end up having 9 total. So I'm trying to figure out where I want to put those. I don't know. I might wait until I come back in the fall, because that's when we're expected to move back into the house. And I might put like a few of them right there, or maybe like 2, so it kind of goes like this and then back around that way. And then of course I'm going to put some down on this side, because that's what I always do. I always try to create kind of a mirror on both sides. And I don't have any rainbow ascot euphorbia yet over here, so more than likely if I do add some, I'm thinking maybe like right there. Maybe I'll just do like 3 right there, and maybe I already have 3 over there, and so that would leave me 3 more that I could stick somewhere. Anyway, I'll figure it out. I can't plant them until I know we're going to be without rain for a significant amount of time. But everything's looking pretty good. My lamb's ear are getting big. My lamb's ear border on the middle terrace there. I'm so excited about that. I really think it already looks good, and I'm just excited for what it's going to look like when it completely fills in. So I'm going to be going out of town for about a week, and I mentioned this before, but I'm excited to see the difference when I come back in this garden, because now that we're getting into the really warm temperatures, everything will start growing really quickly, and I'm just excited for that. I'm seeing some white anemones in this area that weren't open last time, and also some orange lilies back there. See, there's a couple lower ones, and then I have a tall stalk that should be opening up here soon too, so that is going to be really pretty. Of course, my giant verbascums right there, also called mullein. I have 1 there. I have 2 there. Oh, another one in the front here. Here's another one here. I really love these plants. They're self-seeders. I really like the big bold foliage. I don't mind, like, if there's a big one in the front like that. It doesn't really bother me because it's just like one. It's not like a whole patch of them. Although this is more than I've had in the past, so I may need to start selectively pulling these out. But I do like them in the garden for now, and as long as they don't, you know, get too completely out of control, I will continue letting those seed in here. I had cut back my goldenrod. I don't know if I mentioned this in a previous video. I was talking about doing a Chelsea chop on the goldenrod, and I did do that. So hopefully this year what we'll see is bushier, shorter plants. But I must say there's also the possibility that I might just move this out and move it to my work garden, because as I've been talking about, I have a work garden that I'm going to be working on here soon, and I'm going to need a lot of plants to fill that. And I'm planning to take quite a bunch of my own and just do divisions and splits and stuff like that. So, because I know that goldenrod self-seeds, I've already got a couple new clumps that have self-seeded. So it'll continue coming back in my garden, even if I were to remove most of that and take it over to my work. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to be taking a bunch of this iris because it needs to be thinned down anyway. I also have iris from multiple other sources. A coworker of mine has brought in, like, my goodness, like 4 boxes of iris. I don't know how to describe it to you in a plant size. It's probably about as much as that whole stand right there. That's probably how much iris he brought me, but they were just in boxes, cardboard boxes. So that's gonna all go to my work. And then, you know, other people are starting to donate stuff like hosta and, you know, just like whatever perennials they have that they can split. So, but a little bit of a issue that we've run into is that we discovered that I should have already looked into this. There's not a nearby hose connection. Like, there is a hose connection on that side of the building, but it's actually quite far away. It's probably like, I don't know, a few hundred feet from the garden. And so that's not too realistic as far as running a hose. So my boss is putting in a sprinkler system into the garden area. And I mean, in one way that's nice because then I don't have to worry about it being watered. It'll just be on a consistent watering schedule. But then again, when I'm first planting the plants, I still am going to need to water them in. And so I still feel like it's going to be a bit of work for me to get them watered in on that initial planting. I guess I'll just ask him, can I just run the sprinkler system for, like, you know, a couple of hours or something after I first plant new plants? That way they can get good and soaked. And then after that, the whatever the sprinkler system is set up on, I would imagine should be sufficient, especially since I'm planning to plant a bunch of perennials and kind of like natives to this area that are just used to whatever amount of rain that we normally get. Like I told him, once they're established, most of the stuff that I'm planting in this garden shouldn't need supplemental watering. It's just that initial getting it established a bit that could be challenging. So anyway, I guess that's the news for now. I think I am going to work on this gosh darn health strip here. I don't know, my trash can's empty, so I either think I'm going to work on this health strip, or maybe I might even start cutting down the barberry. So let me put the phone down and do some actual work, and then I'll check back in for the end of the video just to let you guys know what I decided to do. But as usual, thanks for checking out my garden today, and see you here in a little bit. Okay friends, well, I didn't actually get very far. I decided to work on weeding this health strip because I did not bring my big loppers to cut down the barberry shrubs, but I did have my shovel with me, so I dug up a lot of grass clumps and stuff, and this is as far as I got. And then I decided that it is just too hot. It's up in like the mid-90s and I'm dying. So tomorrow it's supposed to cool down and rain. Maybe I'll be out here working in the rain, who knows, we'll see. but I'm gonna call it good for this little gardening day. And maybe I'll garden at the other house where I have a water hose and I can like spray myself down. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.